on solving problems with tech. Please note that there will be a Q&A session at the end of the talk, and I have posted a link to the Slido to where you can post your questions, though I'll keep posting it throughout the talk as well, so that we don't lose track of it. So please watch out for that. And for those of us who are on YouTube, welcome. And please feel free to post your questions on the chat. We'll be watching out for them there as well. Yeah, without further ado, I'm going to pass the stage on to Proton. Yeah, Proton is just setting up.
Sorry, please. I'm just figuring out my audio. It's kind of. Thank you.
Okay. In the meantime, the Slido link posted in the chat contains a poll, so you could continue to fill in your responses to that.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. My AirPods got disconnected. Thanks, Rod. So hi everyone. I'm here to talk about solving problems with technology using an app that I built called Annie as a case study. I know Annie sounds like a real person, and that's because it was named after real people. But Annie is an app that I built with a couple of friends, and I'll be using that as an example on how you can solve problems that you face or people face in everyday life using technology as a tool. Yeah. So who am I? My name is Bolaji. Sometimes you hear people call me Proton. I think Ruth introduced me as Proton. So it's kind of like Proton is a nickname. Bolaji is my real name. But I am comfortable bearing both of them. So you can either call me Proton or you can call me Bolaji, whichever is fine. And I'm a full stack engineer. I'm currently based in Lagos, Nigeria. I've been in the software engineering industry for about 4 years, and most of the 4 years I've been spent working in like several startups ranging from like Series A to Series D and so on, helping them to leverage technology to solve problems in that people face mostly in the United States. But I'm currently working for a startup in Europe right now. In my spare time, I enjoy contributing to open source libraries. I've created a couple of them, and I've also contributed to a couple of them also. And that's because I believe the backbone of most of the things we use today is the blood and sweat of people that decided to like give these things out for free. So I believe that like the only way I can give back to that community is also by building tools that people can use. In my spare time, I enjoy making amateur music and also sharing them on my SoundCloud, which I use occasionally. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter, mostly on SoundCloud when I'm publishing music. Next slide. Yeah, so I mentioned I'll be using Annie as a case study. As I said before, Annie is not a real person. Annie is named after real people, and it's an app that helps to facilitate music sharing across friends. And I would explain how Annie came about in like a few minutes. But like a brief overview of what Annie is. Annie is a mobile platform created to ease the pain of music sharing for music streamers. So Annie was targeted at people that stream music, but the problem that people had when streaming music is sometimes they are not able to share the songs that they listen to other people or well, like with friends, because they don't know what streaming platform their friends use and stuff. So what usually ends up happening is they go, hey Ruth, there's this new song I think you might like. They send you the name of the artist, and like you have to look for it on whatever streaming platform you use, maybe Google or something. With Annie, you can share music with your friends and loved ones without having to bother about their streaming platform. It's currently available on Play Store, on Apple Store, and will be released on Google Store in the coming days. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, my talk today is kind of like pretty short because it's more of like a Q&A session. But what I wanted to walk through is like the 7 stages that helped me when I was deciding on um, whether to build Annie or not to build Annie, and how I came about like Annie as a solution in itself. So it's a 7 part step, and it's shared by like a lot of like people in the startup in industry. This is like one of like these are like the steps that they tell you to take when you are considering building a solution. I added some points here, but it's mostly like across board. It's mostly like the same idea that everyone uses. The first step is understanding the problem. When you say you want to build a solution, you don't just go about building a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. And that's one of the things that people do. Like they create arbitrary problems or abstract problems that don't exist just in the bid to say they want to build something. And sometimes you also, even when you have identified the problem, you need to understand what the problem is. And I will give an example. So say for example, you figure out that like my problem right now is my AirPods, maybe the battery, like they die too quickly. But like you just go, oh, okay, instead of um, understanding why the batteries died so quickly, you then say, oh, I think I have a solution to the problem. And your solution to the problem is carving like a car battery and plugging them somehow into my AirPods. That might work, but it might not work nice because that's like a whole overload. By understanding the problem, you understand that like one of the reasons why most people opt for AirPods is because they are lightweight and they are easy on the ears. They don't make your ears hot and stuff like that. So you introducing a bigger load on the AirPod kind of might work, but won't work for most people because you are going against the reason why that problem existed in the first place. So if you are to go about saying, "Oh, I need to understand the problem," then you now go about you now go about the problem by asking the right questions. What kind of battery does the AirPod uses? What are the other kind of batteries that they have? What is stopping you from using what's stopping Apple or whoever is the manufacturer from using an AirPod that sorry a battery that has a longer life than the one that's currently using? And like these are the questions that you ask, and when you find answers to these questions, then you know how to like you can now say with your chest that like, hey, I think I understand the problem that you or these people are facing, and that's like how you go about tackling that. One common mistake that which I actually did at some point in my life was say, oh, just say that, just look for any problem of any sort and say, oh, let's fix this. Then you start building. Then you realize that like midway, when you're like almost done building, you now realize that yeah, what you are building does not really cater for the problem, but it even introduces more problems. And that's one of like the things that hinder people from using products like that. The second point is check for existing solutions or current workaround. So it's a problem, right? And because people face this problem every day or maybe sometimes, people will always have like a way that they work around those problems. For Annie, for instance, now when for most people that are here, I'm sure when you want to share songs with people, you either share like a screenshot to the person or you type out the artist and the song's full name and you send to the person. And with that, and it was we were able to like say, okay, how can we make this process seamless such that like the user could only take like less clicks to send a song to this person. So if you think about it, if you want to take a screenshot on your Spotify or Apple Music or whatever you use, YouTube Music and so on, you would need to like press a key to take a screenshot, then go to your message or WhatsApp, then now send this picture to the person. So that's like about 4 to 5 clicks. And with Annie, what we try to figure out is that like how can we make sure that like people get the same experience, but are able to share the music that they want to share perfectly with their loved ones and friends with as much click as that or less. Like most, aiming for less because if you are if you are going to have the same experience, then your solution does not really change anything. It's just like a new shiny thing. Is the way we have like several note taking apps. Most of them have like something that they bring to the table. But if you have like two note taking app that like does exactly the same thing, you most likely will not opt for the newest one, because you'll be like, yeah, there's no difference between using the old one and the new one. So you just like stick to what you have. So you have to make sure that like whenever you're talking about is solution or building a solution, you you understand the existing workaround that exist for that problems, or also solutions that existed. For Annie, there were like some solutions that existed, like that exist, sorry, like song shift and so on. And we try to understand, oh, what approach were these people using? Like, why is it that like this problem still exists even with this current solution or work around? And understanding that gives you more insight into the problem that you're solving, because you might think you understand the problem initially, but like there's there's some aspect that you might not be thinking, especially if it's not a problem you face yourself. Which is why like people, some there are some talks that you go to and they tell you that like if you don't face the problem yourself, you should not build a solution for the said problem. And the cause of this, like it becomes an hindrance that like, oh, I don't even understand what this problem is, and I'm just building. Then you start building and like you've gone a bit far and you're like, oh, I have to go back to step one and start again by understanding the problem. So checking for existing solution and current um, workaround, they kind of help you buttress like point one, which is understanding the problem itself. Um, sorry. So step three is figure out your approach towards the solution. Now you've understood the problem, you've checked for current solutions or workaround, and you're like, oh, okay, this problem still exists because these solutions are not taking care of it. So how do I want to approach this? For Annie, it was more of a case of okay, we know the problem that existed was people are not able to share music comfortably, because, for example, if I want to share a song with Ruth, for instance, the name of the song is Champion. Um, I'm sure if you type in Champion right now on whatever streaming platform you use, you would see at least 10 songs that have the name Champion. How do you then know which one is which if I just send you the name of the song? Now, sometimes you listen to songs and you don't even know the artist that sang this song. So you have to like use Shazam to know the name of the song. They now send it to the person via the streaming platform, which is like a lot of stress. So that means you're having to juggle between like 3 to 4 apps at a time just to make sure you send the song to someone. So we looked at it like this. There's also the issue of sometimes some artists, their names are not the way you think they are spelled. So say for example, let me think of an artist there. If I say you should spell, there's this guy called Brockhampton. And if I tell someone to spell Brockhampton, the person might spell it Broke, then Hampton. But the spelling of the person's name is actually Brock Hampton. And depending on your accent or like how the person speaks, you might even think the person is saying something else, and like you end up spelling something else, and you are like, oh, I can't even find this song that this person sent to me. So how do we make sure that like it is the exact song that you're looking for that you get every time you use Annie? And that was what came about with the approach that Annie used. Annie is like, okay, we have this particular song. When we get this song on the platform, we don't just want to give you the Spotify link, the Apple Music link, or whatever you asked for. We want to give you a unique link, which is generic to all platforms. So basically, if I wanted to share a song with Joy, for instance, because I've been sharing too many songs with Ruth, if I had to share a song with Joy, for instance, I would just need to send that same link, and I don't have to ask Joy, hey, Joy, do you use Spotify or do you use Apple Music? And so far, with the existing solutions that existed, none of them took that approach, and that was why sharing music was still a pain, because with the existing solution that are currently in play, you still have to ask questions like, oh, by the way, Joy, what streaming platform do you use? Is this Spotify? Oh, yeah, I can get to the Spotify. Then you have to go and look for the Spotify link to share with Joy, even though you have no business with Spotify. And it's so bad that like some people even have like 3 to 4 music apps on their phone. For example, people that create playlists, they create a playlist on Apple Music. Then when they are done, they now go to Deezer to create that same playlist by searching for the songs individually and adding to a playlist. Then go to Spotify and do the same thing. All because they want to share a playlist that they can send to their friends, people, their subscribers, people that actually do this as a hobby or paid to do this. So Annie's approach was like, oh, how can we make this seamless, such that like you only need to bother about being on one platform, and you don't have to go to the stress of duplicating your efforts across multiple platforms. And that is why with Annie, you get a unique link. Sorry, you get a unique link for your tracks or your playlist at any point in time. So regardless of what platform the person uses or where the person is, all that person needs is just one link, and you don't have to ask is are you using Spotify or Deezer? You don't really care about that. All you can focus on at that point is the music in which you are sharing. Yeah. Point 4, create a product plan. Now it's so easy to like say, oh yeah, I already know what I want to build. You just jump straight in. I did that. It was one of the mistakes that I did with Annie. Did that, went straight into building without like sitting down and like figuring out, oh, what is the product plan? And that is where your engineering skills might not really be helpful, because at that point you need to think like a product manager or a product owner as opposed to thinking like a software engineer. Because as a software engineer, most of the time what you are bothered about is writing code. What you're bothered about is languages, JavaScript, Golang, Python, and so on. You don't really care about not that you don't care, but like you don't see beyond the code that you're writing. And that is why having a product person when you are building a solution can be really, really helpful, because there are lots of solutions out there which they solve the problem that they claim to solve, but they end up adding more overhead to the problem itself. Sorry, thus creating more problems along the line. So having a product person helps you navigate those muddy waters and I come up with a product plan. And what a product plan looks like is more like there are no languages involved. It's more like, okay, as a user, when how do I access your app? Is it a mobile app? Is it a web app? Why is it a mobile app? Why is it a web app? Because so for example, if you decide to go the mobile route, you should understand that like you are basically exempting some people, because not everybody likes to go to the stress of downloading an app. And if you go for the web app, then some people are like more of like native people. They want a web app, but even though the web is easily accessible on your mobile, so that means like your area of your surface area for users is kind of very large. So that's why like the links that you share online, they're like web links and not mobile links, even though we are currently working on expanding the ability to like convert music to the web, and we are planning on doing that soon. But having a product person helps you like understand like the the different trade-offs that you make whenever you decide to go with either of this route. Yeah, no, number 5, build an MVP or proof of concept. And the difference between an MVP and a proof of concept is a proof of concept most times is not ready to go out there. A proof of concept is just like an hackathon, something that you put together in like a day, like just match it together and like it works. Like it doesn't work as it should be, but it gives you an idea of what like the flow that is going to happen. So either it's an MVP or a proof of concept, you need to build that like, and that kind of gives you confidence as to, oh, this works. And it's kind of like in line with point 6, which is testing that with friends. Because when you have this MVP or proof of concept, you can share with friends and ask what do they think. Most of the time, like your friends, your colleagues, they're like your first users, and they're like the ones that give you like the most critical feedback that you need before going out there into the real world. So if you build something and your friends can't use it, most likely no one is going to use it, because if you can't, if they can't use it very well, then most likely no one is going to use it, because it most likely adds more overhead or problem to whatever you are solving at that point in time. So it's very, very important that like you don't just spend like you build something that people, that you can show off, you can show people like, hey, what do you think of this? Hey, like what do you think can be improved? So, and you try to ask questions in the process. Okay, now you've finished using this app. What's like, what are your pain points? Why using this app? Do you have any feedback for me? Like if there was something you could remove, what would it be? If there was something you could add, what would it be? And it's also very important to note that like most times people will ask for like things like very, very large things that like you might not be able to provide at that point. And that's where the product plan comes into. So like you would always most likely have to like keep adding things to your product plan. You'll be removing some at some point, because I'm not saying some feedback are useless, but like sometimes they are out of scope. So like if if you are building a solution that tackles say sound, there is no point in having to deal with batteries or like hardware and so on. It's kind of out of scope. It might help your product in turn, but it makes sense to focus on your main goal, your main mission, complete that before looking into other areas. And that's where you have to know how to like and do product feedback. Is this viable for like, is this critical to solving the problem or it's not? And like with time, that's where the seventh point now comes into play. With time, as you keep iterating over and over and over again, it gets better. Your product gets from level 0 to like level 1, 2, 3, and so on. I recently found a video of the first iteration of Annie, and I laughed because I did the design myself. It was, I mean, I won't say it's ugly, but I can't use it. I could not use it because it had so many stressful points. Like with the first design, I had to manually copy the link every time. I could not share directly from my streaming platform, so it was a pain. And that was the feedback I got from people. They're like, oh, they find it cumbersome to always go to your streaming platform, copy a link, then go back to your own page, look for Annie and paste it inside and get a link. And then we not have a universal link. It was more of like just individual apps and so on. But because of the iterative process of building, we were able to like evolve over time. Like Annie evolved over like about, before we got to where we are right now, we are about 5 iterations. And iterations don't mean building the app from scratch all over again. From like, that's not what iteration means. Improving the part that already exists, which is why you have to have a solid product plan. When you have a solid product plan and you have a solid understanding of the problem, like the core will still be the same. What would change or improve over time is how people interact with your solution. The core of the solution will most likely still be the same. It's just minor improvements here and there. But what will be changing most times is how people will interact with your solution. Integrations here and there. With more integrations you have, people are able to use the spectrum for people that are using your solution are going to increase, because people can say, oh, there's this integration with so thing, that they're like, oh, that's nice. We come in and they're able to like, oh, let's use this with this, and it works, and they're, oh, this makes my life even more easier. And yeah, and that happens. So yeah, those are like the 7 points that I wanted to talk about. Joy, do you mind moving to the next slide? There should be a slide before that. Yeah. So one thing I wanted to point out, so there was this tweet I saw, yeah, by this guy, Preslav Vachev. The whole point of the tweet is focus on the problem you are solving and solve it well. It says that they're like, just because something looks nice does not mean it is useful or that it solves a problem. And this is trying to drive home at like the MVP part of proof of concept. So many times people spend time trying to like come up with like the best design and stuff like that. It's more of like focus on the solution, like focus on the problem that you're solving, solve it well. Most of these things will become iterative over time. It's like Twitter. Like almost everyone swears Twitter is okay. Well, not everyone, but most people, like a lot of people swear that Twitter is the best platform. But they don't just stop there. Like they keep making improvement, adding new features. They added fleets, even though they removed it again. Recently, there has been a change to the font that they use on the app. There's been a change to the font that is being used on the app. There's also a change to like like a few colors and so on. I think they're moving away from the Twitter blue color, and moving into like another color at this point. So like those are like very, very those are like different improvements that they have been making over time, and that is why Twitter is where it is today. So like this is just trying to like say like always focus on like the solution that you are solving. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, so I don't know if there are questions, but yeah.
Yeah, we have quite a number of questions.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So let me go ahead and jump right into them. So the first one is, I always wonder what goes into making the decision on which platform to start building for. For example, why did you guys decide to go with Apple first?
Okay. Okay. Okay, so those are two questions. So let me start with the first one, which is what goes into the decision of which platform to start building for. To be honest, I would say it goes with the product plan. The first research we did was, okay, most people that stream music, where do they stream music from? It's mostly from their phones. Like a large percentage stream from their phones. For someone like me, I listen to songs more on my laptop than on my phone. But from the research I heard, it was most people were doing it from their phone. And we're like, okay, how can we make sure that like what we are building is closer to you than what we are building is closer to you, so that you don't have to do too much to solve your problem at any point in time. So it's more like with a mobile app, we can obviously share directly from whatever streaming platform that you have, which is going to be a mobile app most likely. So it's more like you just click share and you takes it to the app directly, and you get what you need. If it was a web app, which is still going to be, we are going to have a web app to supplement it. But the reason why we went mobile first is more like, if it was a web app, that functionality of being able to share directly to Annie would not be there. You would have to most likely copy the link and paste it there. So that was what informed the decision. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's a one size fits all decision. It's more like you have to understand your users. Where are they going to, where, like the problem you are solving, where do they experience the problem mostly? And it's focused on sharing, which is why you have options to like share to WhatsApp, iMessage, or whatever message platform you use, and so on, Instagram stories, because those apps are mostly mobile apps that you use on your phone. And that was what led to that decision. As to why we decided to go with Apple first, to be honest, it's just a coincidence. It's not like we went, oh, well, like we want to serve Apple first. So myself and Damisi, who I started this project with, Damisi is an iOS developer. So Damisi had like a lot of velocity when it comes to building, and that was why that went really fast. It took us some time before we got an Android engineer to come on board on the project. We have the Android app ready. It's just that like we are still in beta testing, fixing bugs before we go out into general release. So it's available on both platforms. It's just unfortunate that like Android is still on beta, but we should be out of beta soon. I hope. Yeah. So the next question, I can move on to the next question. Do you want to ask? I don't know.
Yeah, let me go ahead and ask. So how have you monetized this, and if so, how? If not, what's the plan?
Okay. No, we've not monetized this, and it's free to use at this point in time. The plan, there's a lot of plan. No, there's not a lot, but like we have a couple of ideas in mind, but we are trying to like basically we're trying to do like some form of product research and understand where is the best place to like get the most value. For example, and it's not just going to be about tracks. We are going to have playlist also. So how do we service your playlist need with Honey and so on? So like the one we now compare that to like all the things, the resources that are needed to like push this out there. We now try to understand, oh, okay, these are like strategies that we could use. But traditional strategy can range from even ads. There are a lot of people that survive on ads, like just Google ads or like whatever ads you use and so on like that. But like it's something that like we are still in active discussion about. But like right now, and it's free and it's going to be free at least with tracks. Yeah.
Okay. Then how long did it take you? Yeah, like how long did it take you from the ideation stage to actual implementation?
Okay. It took about 18 months, and I can't say if it would have been faster or slower, because at some point I stopped the project, like because I didn't have enough confidence. Is not the word. I was just in a very dark place, and I just could not do much, so I stopped it. Then I got inspired again, and I was like, oh, you know what, this is a problem. When I started talking to people, and they're like, oh yeah, we are still having these issues, and I'm like, oh, you know what, I was building something for this, but I stopped. Then I think I'm going to kickstart it back again. And I stopped the project for like about 4 to 6 months, I think. But in total, I think it took about 18 months to get to where we are right now.
And what's the current usage like?
I haven't checked recently, but as at last 3 weeks, we have users in over 15 countries in the world. Annie is not an app that like you spend most of your time with, like that you engage in. It's not like a social network where you have to stay on, like the likes of Twitter and so on. So measuring like retention is definitely critical, but retention is not going to be as high as things. At least I don't think it will be as high at this stage as apps like Twitter and stuff. I don't have the current figure in mind. I can't remember the current figure where we stand, but I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I'm actually a bit overwhelmed by the usage so far, and it surprises me because I knew it was a problem, but I didn't know it was like that big a problem for people. So yeah.
And what's the feedback from your users?
Yeah, so like we are always iterating over and over again. They're like,
yeah,
at least most people like it. I think everyone loves it. Like I've had conversation with people that I don't even know before. They're like, oh, everyone must use Annie, and I'm like, oh man, thanks and stuff like that. But there are still places where we can improve. For example, one of the things that people keep asking for, which by the way is almost done. We're just in a stage of testing. Like testing takes some time because we are dealing with like multiple platforms and like appliance with them. We have to make sure that like we are not breaching any rules, because there are a lot of like copyright issues you have with like playing songs on outside of this streaming platform, because people literally pay to use the streaming platform. So you accessing their like content, you have to make sure that you're always in compliance with them. So one of the most requested features so far has been playlist, and we currently have playlist. It's not available for everyone, but it's only for beta testers. We currently have playlists, which I'm testing with like a couple of internal friends and developers that are with us. So that's one of the feedback we've got. Playlists. Everyone is hyped about playlist because it's kind of like a major game changer. Feedback also includes like there are some songs that are not available on other platforms. How do people don't understand? Oh, that the fact that this song does not show up and it means it's not available on other platforms. So I want to like make sure that like the user is not confused when they only see like Spotify in the song shelf. Then there's also like the call to like add more platforms. Currently only supports Spotify, Apple Music, and Deezer. And unfortunately, no, not unfortunately, fortunately, because it's a good thing that we have other streaming platforms. Those are not the only platforms that we have. We have like YouTube Music, Google Music, and Tidal, Amazon Music, and so on. But right now, only supports those three. So there's always been called to like, oh, expand the number of platforms you support, which is also something that we are working on. Yeah.
Okay. And this one touches on your process. So how do you judge if the problem affects enough people to make it worth solving?
So I would say I would tell this person what my mentor told me at some point. It was like, if the problem affects you, then it's a problem. Like, I didn't get the chance to talk with the number of users that are currently using Annie right now before I discovered that, like, oh, that this is a problem that's affecting a lot of people. If it's affecting you, I personally believe it's a problem. I've built tools, like developer tools, that I've automated my own workflow just because I'm like, oh, this thing is stressing me. And someone just saw it on my GitHub and they're like, oh, I really like using this. I'm like, oh, I just built it for my own self, and I have to like go back and refine it and clean it up to make it usable for them. So I would say that, like, if you genuinely feel it's a problem, then it's a problem. The next step you should take is not building, it's understanding what the problem is. When you understand what the problem is, then you will figure out why you're having that problem, and you obviously find out if there are other people having the problem, and that's when you would know if it's a problem worth solving for, and like how much you want to commit into it and how much it will take and stuff like that. Sorry, you're muted. I don't know if you're trying to speak.
Am I audible now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I forgot I muted myself. Related to that, somebody was asking, how is there a particular framework you use to ensure you adequately understand the problem?
Okay. There was, but I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name. It's honestly a couple of Google search and stuff. I think the major like I wrote a lot of notes. I wrote a lot of notes. I also did quite a number of research. Surveys and so on. Surveys are very important. They help inform. Like, the reason why we have Spotify, Apple Music, and Deezer is because of surveys. We started out targeting 3 platforms. Like, it's a small subset, and it's a small subset enough to know if this is going to be something that people would like, and so on. So I don't know I can't remember the name for the thing. There's like a popular framework. I can't remember the name, unfortunately. But if the person is on the developer ish channel, I would look for it and I would share on the channel. I'll share it somehow.
Okay. And you mentioned that creating the app took a bit of a mental toll on you. Do you mind sharing more on that?
Yeah. So the mental toll part is kind of I can share. I think I was just in a place where I was doing too much. I was doing a lot. I've been advised a lot of time by my friends to like take it easy. Like, I always take on a lot of workload, and at that point in time, I was having to like juggle several arts. I'm still having to juggle several arts, by the way, but I think I'm just learning to like take it slow and stuff like that. So it's more of like, at the time I was working as the front end engineer, the back end engineer. I was working as a DevOps person, infrastructure person, also as the product manager. My partner was more on the mobile side of things, so he worked on the iOS part, and we had an Android developer, but it was more like on the mobile side of things. It was managing those. Then me, I just like I was overseeing everything. So it was more like traditionally you would call that the role of a CTO, but I wasn't like, there was no like role per se. So, and that was because like it's a small group. It was just me and my friend. It started as a side project. Even the Android developer joined us because he was bored, and it was like, oh, he had a job, and it was during the time of COVID, and it was like, okay, he's waiting for the lockdown to be lifted so that like, he can travel to Germany at that point in time. So it was like he's bored and stuff. I was like, okay, you know what? I have a project that I'm working on. If you want, you can come on it. You own the whole Android experience. It's just you. My friend, who is my partner, just oversees the whole mobile architecture and so on. And he was like, yeah, I'm down. And that's how he joined us. So the mental toll was more of like I was doing a lot. I was working on Annie, also doing my side job, which doing my main job, my job itself, which was yeah, I was kind of like the team lead at the time, so it was like a lot having to be a team lead on your actual job and coming to your side project and also being like the team lead also at the same time.
Okay. Is there a simple software architecture plan that you had before making the MVP or the proof of concept?
So architecture wise, I feel like there's a saying in Nigeria, we say vibes and insha Allah. It's just like just go with the flow. It's kind of like just go with the flow because there is no one size architecture for everything. There's always, it depends on what you are building. It depends on what you are building. I could go into the technicalities, but like it's a lot. But I would say in terms like at the barest minimum, I would say you need to have something that you can show people, like a front end. Not every front end needs a back end, like an API or something. Like because some things could just be like a simple page or something that, like there's this app, readme.so, that helps you generate readme. It doesn't have an API. It's just a simple Next.js app that does everything that I want to do. But like, so the simple architecture that I would say is like you have to have something that shows something. And if you have a backend, then it's just basically database, API, and your front end. That's like as simple as it gets. But it's just depending on what you are building, what you are working on. Then you have to like fine tune that to like, oh, okay, what kind of database will I use? Those are like more of system architecture questions. Yeah.
Okay. Someone would love you to share your GitHub username.
So it's Bolaji Olajide. Can I share it in the chat? I don't
yeah, I think that would be better.
Okay. All right. So it's basically Bolaji Olajide, BOLAJIOLAJIDE. Yeah.
And how often do you perform status checks of the problem to ensure you're still on track?
I don't know what the person means by test check. Status checks. Okay. Status checks of the problem. Okay, so I think that comes into play with like always interacting with people that use your app. So I have people that I occasionally DM whenever there's a new feature that I'm planning to like release, that we're planning to release. Sorry, not me. I'm not the only one. So I usually like discuss it with them. I have like advisors, mentors that I talk to understand what they think. Then usually there's what we call A/B testing, where you like test your features briefly. Twitter uses it a lot, where like with the upvote downvote tweet thing, like they try it and see how it gauges engagement and so on. For Annie, we haven't gotten to that stage yet where we have like lots of feature rollout. But usually what happens, we only have one feature right now, which is stereo tracks. But usually what happens when we release a feature like that is always try to like interact with people that use the app. Hey, how are you finding the experience? Is there something is there something about the way you use it that you would like? Then you have to like take that feedback and go back to your drawing board and see which one are you going to attend to, because there's honestly going to be like a lot, and you then try to figure out which one, these are the ones I'm going to attend to, and this is the approach you take. So I usually sit down with the designer, the mobile, my partner, everyone basically, and just like talk through the problem. Let's talk about it, because I think it's a bit easier for us because everyone working on Annie right now faces this problem. Like it's a problem that they face every day. They use Annie every day, so it's kind of easy. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, that's the way we go about it. Annie's a pretty small team. We are just a team of 6, including engineers. Like we have like 4 engineers, and we're a team of 6, 3 engineers actually.
So essentially, the more, I guess, into the problem you're in, like the more surrounded by it you're with, the better you understand it as you move along.
The better you understand. Yes, because it's easier when people that are building the thing they have the same problem. They can,
Yeah.
they're able to think ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's the way the problem used to be. Like most people trust me with Annie because they're like, Bolaji shares music a lot. Bolaji talks about music. Like music is like the only thing I can talk about for like hours without stopping. I can talk about any artist and stuff because they know how passionate I am about music. I got so passionate about music that like when I didn't have any new song to they listen to, I started learning how to make my own music, and that's where I started the SoundCloud thing and so on. So most people, at least people that know me personally, trust me enough that like, oh, when it comes to music, it's Bolaji's or Proton's thing. So they've been able to like plug that into like how I think about Annie or how we think about Annie. It's easier. It's easy for me because Annie is not something I'm willing to make money. Annie is a problem that I'm solving, that I have, and everyone around me also has, and we are all coming together to solve that problem. It just so happens that like a large majority of other people also have that problem, and that's why they are attracted to Annie.
And what's been the total cost of creating the app so far?
I don't have a figure in mind. Well, I would say depending on how you are approaching it, you can go with free stuff. There's like Heroku that gives you a free tier. There are other things that you can use that are free, but you can't last long with them because it's free for a reason. You're not meant to use it for like long and so on. So it's the cost. I can't give you like an exact figure, but I would say, yeah, when you are building and you really want to, you are building for people, you really have to like come correct when it comes to your finances. Now, on the plus side, the good thing is that like if people see a value in what you are building, they would want to invest. That's how startups are formed. And that's one of the reasons I said like Annie, the reception for Annie so far has been a bit overwhelming because like we went into building Annie. My friend and I were open that we were planning to cover the cost of Annie, the development cost and everything. Like we paid out of our pocket, but we're having people that see the value of Annie and they're like, oh, you know what? When are you guys raising? We would love to invest in this idea and so on. So I believe that like when, as far as your solution has value, people see the value in your solution. They would come to you. Hey, we would like to invest. What do you need? And yeah, at that point in time, the cost will not be the problem. You have money, I guess.
Would you mind giving like a rough draft? Like perhaps maybe did the architecture take majority of the cost or?
Okay, let me see. So in terms of cost, there are different kind of cost. There's the operational cost, right? Which includes things that you need to get the app running. So you pay for like servers, you pay for like database instance, you pay for like if it's a mobile app for instance on the Play Store, you pay for your developer account membership and so on. On the other side, which is more like power cost, you pay for devs because for example the Android dev that's currently working on the previous person that worked on the app initially has left because he needed to focus on work. He just needed something to keep him busy for like a short time, and that's part of the reason why the Android app has been delayed so far. So we had to hire someone out of pocket, and you and I both know like in the technical industry devs are not cheap, and especially good devs are not cheap, so you have to pay for that. So those are the costs that like you have to weigh, you have to take into consideration. There is the operational cost, which is the cost of like running your app. So your server instance, your database instance, your whatever thing you need to do, are you spinning up Rabbit instances and so on? Those things cost money. You can use the free plan, but there's only so far it can take you. So you can use like Heroku. If you're on the free plan of Heroku, your app keeps sleeping every, I don't know. I know it has to sleep for like an hour a day or something. I can't remember the exact figure. Now you can choose to upgrade to like the $7 per month plan. Now you can keep going on from there with Heroku, or you could just use DigitalOcean, which is $5 per month, or you could use AWS and use the Lambda thing, which is a pay as you go on plan. But like those things cost money. At least for your initial MVP and stuff, for like your staging environment and shit, you don't need to spin up an actual server that you pay. You can use Heroku. But like for the actual production app that people would use, you most likely have to. I, as I said, I don't have an exact figure, but it's the monthly bond cost for Annie is more around the range of like I think $40 per month. Um, 40 to 60. I can't remember the exact figure. That's for now. The more we scale, the larger that figure becomes, obviously. So, yeah.
That's really awesome, Proton. Thank you for all this information. I think I really enjoyed this talk. Ruth, Ruth's laptop just died, so
Oh,
I'll
wow. Sorry
take
about
over.
All right.
I'm not sure whether you answered this question. What is the current usage like, and what's the feedback from your current users?
Yeah, I think I did answer the question.
Yeah, I think
So I
you
said
answered.
yeah, I don't have an exact figure in mind, but now like last time I checked, and is I unfortunately I'm not a product person. I'm learning to be a product person, which is what building something makes you. Like you have to learn to be a product person at some point. Product people, they like sleep on this analytics
Yeah.
and stuff. In fact, I'm looking for ways to like be better at analytics and stuff. But last I checked, Annie is being used across 14 countries in the world, which was like a month ago when I checked. And that is just on the Apple side of things, not including Android. And I'm sure, I feel like Android is more used across the world. So I'm sure that like once the Android app goes out, um, yeah, that figure is going to drastically increase. The last I checked, our daily, I can't remember the exact figure, but I know it's in the range of like 300 to 300 users per day, I think. I don't have an exact figure, but yeah, with Android, it's going to be like a lot more. And actually, I was hoping the Android would be out by the time I'm giving this talk, but was supposed to be out on Wednesday. I wasn't feeling so good. On Thursday, which was yesterday, I was like, oh, I don't want to rush this. I'll just take it slow. So maybe hopefully by next week. But if you're interested in trying out Annie, you should check out anniemusic.app. Annie is spelled ANNIE. And yeah, that's all.
That's so awesome. I encourage everyone to download it if you have an iPhone. And next week for all the Android users, I've used it I was using it during the talk, and it's
Oh
really,
wow.
really cool. It seems like you guys actually took a lot of time to like make this thing, because it's really nice. I really like it.
Yeah, it took
Um,
it took
I,
like 18 months. So like I think it should show that like yeah, we took a lot of time. And for
yeah,
like just to add this, another sweet thing about Annie is like you don't even need a mobile phone to use Annie, which is one of the reasons why I said it like understanding the problem is very important. So we figured that like not everyone shares their songs via their mobile phone. If you look at Twitter, a lot of people share songs on Twitter a lot. And there's a Twitter bot, which is any music bot. There's a Twitter bot, there's a Telegram bot, the same name, which you can use to like convert your music right from Twitter without even having to make use of the app. We are currently exploring the option of a Slack bot or Discord bot, which was triggered by when I joined the developer-ish Slack channel. I noticed there's a music channel there, and I was like, oh, this could be a good addition here. So like that's one of the things that like we thought about that like, oh, you know what, how do we make sure that we are not constraining our users and stuff? Yeah, just wanted to point that out. Sorry.
no, that's really awesome. Um, I see Ruth is here, so I'll just accede the seat if she's ready.
Yes.
What do you say?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, I would.
Hi. Yeah, sorry. I just dropped off a bit. So I can see we answered most of the questions, though one final one just popped up.
Okay.
So what were the key lessons you learned building the product in terms of keeping product, considering that the product was mostly built as a project?
Okay. Wow. I feel like there's I was actually considering writing an article about this, but I've been so swamped recently, and I don't think I will have time for another 2 months to write an article about it. But there's a lot, and I know like that's not the definitive answer. There is. I learned a lot from the technical side. I learned a lot from the operation side or product side. From the technical side, for instance, now, most of us work in like companies. We work in teams, small teams, and we never truly appreciate what the idea of like building small clusters within a large app brings to the table. It's so much harder when it's just you building something, and you have to make sure that like these things work well. One of the things that I learned the hard way is everyone hates the idea of writing tests until you bite them in the ass. And I learned that the hard way. I pushed a fix that fucked things up. Sorry for the use of the F word, but it messed things up, and that's when I realized that like, oh shit, I should have added test to this. And now with test, I have more confidence in like I've been deploying a lot. Like we've deployed so far that like things that people are not even using right now, and we feel so confident like it won't break anything. That's like one of like the major things I can remember from the technical side. From the product side, it's more of like it's more of the things I've shared with you. Some of the points I shared are not things that we started out with. As I said, it's a side project. We didn't think things through. I wish I could share. I wish I could share the first iteration of Annie or the design so that you would see how it is. Like it was weird. It was weird. It was orange. Currently, Annie's main color is purple, but it was orange and green. It was a weird combination of colors. We didn't have a proper product plan. We just knew what we wanted to build, but we didn't know, oh, this was the approach we were going to take. Some of the decisions we made were like on the fly. But when we saw like, oh, you know what, we are like going around in circles and we're having to repeat things, then we're like, oh, you know what, let's sit down, let's talk about this. Then we did that. We sat down, talked about it, open a Notion document, write things down. What is Annie supposed to be? What do you want it to be? And that's actually why we use the name Annie, because it's kind of personalized. Annie is me, Annie is you, Annie is anyone that loves music. So like the question is, who is Annie to you? And that's one of like the key decisions that we had to like make while we're building the app.
Well, I'll definitely like to read that article once you get around to writing it.
All right.
Those are all the questions we had for today.
All right. Thank you for having me here. Developer Ish.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. That was a great talk.